You may be thinking, can I bike tour on a 40-hour work week? We're here to tell you absolutely yes, it is possible.
The key to touring while working 40 hours is successful planning. Hello, we are Roosevelt's Ride.
And we're here to tell you that it absolutely is possible to bike tour with a 40-hour week job.
We are here to break it down step by step how we bike tour with both having jobs. I am a costume technologist who creates amazing pieces of wearable art.
And I'm currently serving in the United States Air Force, so we're here to tell you that absolutely yes, it's possible.
Yes. Let's dive right on in.
So one thing that we notice when we're trying to maintain that mindset of like, yes, we're bicycle touring, it's not just on the side, it's something we both share that we're very passionate about. It's year-round training. It helps maintain that mindset all the time.
It also keeps you in shape so that if you decide to go out spur of the moment on a weekend tour, you're not hating your legs for the entire tour, but you can actually enjoy yourself and enjoy the surroundings.
Not to mention saddle time.
Yes,
like,
saddle time. It keeps your
bones.
butt nice and ready
to go
for those seats.
Like shoe leather.
We also love to take those 3-day weekends and 4-day weekends and sometimes pair just an extra vacation day with those weekends so that we can have a tour that takes us on an adventure. We've done a tour up in Des Moines, Iowa a couple of different times.
Oh, I love that tour.
Yeah. And it's just a big giant loop that we hit. Oh, who knows how many different trails we're hitting.
Man.
At least 6.
We haven't even hit them all.
Yeah, there's lots of trails. But you can plan a route that takes you in a circle, so it's not necessarily that out and back type of a trail.
It helps cut down logistics, too.
Yes.
That also brings me to finding trails in your area.
Yes.
That's a big one. We live very close to the Katy Trail State Park here in Missouri and also in Kansas City, so we have a lot of different interconnecting trail systems around us.
Yeah, and you can go out on like weekend warriors.
Ooh,
so we've done the entire Katy in a week. However, we've also taken even just the 2 days on the weekend and have done from point A to point B and sometimes back. Or sometimes you stage 2 cars on 2 ends because in all honesty, how many miles are you hoping to bike in a weekend? Is it truly more than 50 or 60 where, your car can drive that in a mile or in an hour, I mean?
Well, and that actually brings up a really good point because it's important to keep your expectations reasonable on knowing your own ability, doing that year-round training to fully understand how far you want to go, and then also breaking it up into sections like that. You can also practice camping, right? So setting up and tearing down, packing your bike to really keep you ready for those longer tours.
Yeah, and like he was saying, you don't have to do those large miles to have amazing adventures. You can literally go like 20 miles, meet so many people and talk and have a great time, or stop at a gas station and eat breakfast and talk to like 5 different strangers who want to hear where you're going and where you came from. And it's like, oh, I actually don't live too far from here. It's just we're on an adventure.
Right, that's happened on the Rock Island Trail. We were practicing because it was in March, I think, of last year, and we were getting ready for the Allegheny. We're fully loaded up, ready to go, just trying to practice with the weight on a similar grade to the Allegheny, and we ended up talking to one guy that was also touring, wanted to take pictures with us and everything. So you never know whether it's a longer tour or a shorter tour or one even closer to home, doing those trails in sections, what kind of adventure that day is going to be, or that amount of time is going to be. Speaking of time, using your vacation time, and we absolutely want people to use their vacation time. It's yours. You've earned it. Please use it.
Yes.
But use it, like Christina said earlier, in conjunction with a weekend. It's using it wisely and planning out your time.
Yes. Or with your vacation, if there's a major family event that you're going to, you can tack on a bike tour at the beginning or at the end. We had a cousin who got married about a year ago, and he was getting married very close to the Allegheny Passage, which was on our bike-it list. So we just planned it that the week and a half before his wedding, we were going to bike from Pittsburgh to D.C., and then we were going to train up to Philadelphia to see him get married and hang out with everybody in our family.
I'm going to add to that by saying planning also comes into play here as well, because we had to send our clothes to her aunt's house beforehand, and they didn't show up, so we ended up wearing our biking gear to the rehearsal dinner and then go buy the clothes we wore to the wedding. So that's where planning comes in handy. But it's not just family. What?
But that also wasn't our fault. We paid for expedited shipping, and it still didn't show up for over 2.5 weeks. and we paid for Expo. So that wasn't all our fault, but sometimes planning like that, you can't plan for the craziness of life.
Just wore my bike helmet to the thing. Anyway, so, but also not just with those family trips, it's also business conferences too. So like see if there's any trails in your area, because I mean, trails are everywhere. So get on apps like TrailLink, or, books are great resources just to find trails all over the country, because they're not just rail trails, there's bike paths in cities. And just because it's not a multi-day long tour doesn't mean it's not a tour or just a fun ride as a whole.
Yep, it's very true. We love to use Google search and TrailLink, like you said, and the local bike shop. So if you're going somewhere, pop into the local bike shop and say, hey, I'm only here for a couple days. What trail around here should I not miss?
Oh, that's a good point. Or sites, especially if you are going to have time and you want to maximize your amount of time like we're talking about, because it really all does come back down to time and planning and that balance. Like, what in that area do you absolutely want to see? And sometimes seeing it by bike just makes it that much richer, the experience. Speaking of that, like Tour de Beers. Right. So like if you live just outside of a larger city, or just a city that has a few different like craft breweries or local breweries, or maybe not breweries, just different, axe throwing places, whatever it is, just different sites around the city that you want to plan a route and see and research the city to see how many bike trails or paths they have, and kind of plan a little bit of a route around that city.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. You can check out one of our Tour de Brew videos up here. It is a lot of fun. We were doing the Great Cycle Challenge for that one. And we would highly recommend planning out your own Tour de Brew and having a great time testing out some beers or some food or whatever else that spikes your interest.
Now, I will say that if you do the Tour de Brew, please drink responsibly if you're going to bike. Don't go get loaded and then go to a brewery and then get yourself into
other
some
troubles.
Yeah. No. So just bike responsibly, okay? But Tour de Brews absolutely can be fun, and then you can try different appetizers at each brewery as well.
We also love to find bike events near us. We talk to our local bike shop. We follow our local Biking Kansas City or Biking...
The groups on Facebook.
The groups on Facebook, thank you.
Yeah.
And that helps us find those fun, amazing bike tours that are not necessarily races. Like we've done a tour to barbecue in Kansas City where you can bike around to a whole bunch of different barbecue joints. And they also do a tour to Brew Kansas City that you have to pay into, but you can make your own up like we were just saying. So definitely check out and Google search the local events or charity events that you could be doing through your city.
And we can't stress enough how enriching it is to go on a bike ride or a bike tour with other people. We haven't done large tours yet, other than some of the KC events, like a KC Fun Ride that we did with Nolan last summer. But going and just meeting people along the trail, and also just getting in more of the cycling community within your town. That's kind of what all of this is about. Just go in and learn and just be responsive, and then also, if given the opportunity, share some of your own experiences with those people too, because you know what, the biking community is a very that we've noticed is a very welcoming and accepting community. So
yes. Yeah. We love to turn our mundane errands into a fun little bike adventure. We love to go on brunch rides up to a brunch place that we haven't tried yet, or a new brunch place that we want to try. We have definitely paired it. You want to talk about pairing it?
So we decided to do with Nolan this last summer, decided to do a brunch ride from our house that's about 15 miles from the brunch place. So we rode from the brunch place all on back roads to keep off the main highway. And we had brunch, and then we decided to go ahead and go swimming for the rest of the day. And then bike 15 miles back, so I think we earned a movie night that night.
Yeah. You have to be aware that if you bike 15 miles, swim for an entire day, the 15 miles home is a little rough.
Yeah.
But it's still quite a bit of fun.
Nolan's energy was sapped, but it was such a great time, and we got some great pictures and video just to round out that day. So every trip, when your mindset's in the right place, you continue to plan, you train, and make it all, and use, do some of the mundane errands like running to the library to get a book. We've even done a TikTok video just with that alone, just look at your mindset. Like, just look at it as an adventure.
Yes. So, and we always recommend coming up with your dream bike it list. That way, when you are having a family event that's across country, you're like, oh, I think there's a bike it or there's a rail trail, or there's a amazing trail I really wanted to check out near there. Is there a way for me to be able to tack that onto that? Or, you know, maybe you can find a friend or a family member who also is like, oh, I've heard of bike touring, I'm kind of interested in that. And you're like, well, there's this really great rail trail, and you can get people hooked in on rail trails because they're low grades. People are like, beautiful, yeah. I hate climbing hills. It's like, rail trails are never more than like 2% grade.
It's a 2% grade, man. Like, it's not that bad. We can climb that for 3 days straight on the Allegheny.
I mean, it's the rolling resistance that will kill them, but don't tell them that. You know, sometimes the road hills are easier than the grades on the rolling resistance on the rail trails.
Yeah, but with the rail trails, there's no traffic. So, I mean, you know, if you can ride those or bike paths or whatever, like, just find a way to make it an adventure and work it into the time you have.
Yeah, like, and bring some friends in on it. Right. You never know who will fall in love with bike touring with you. And then you might have another friend to go out on a weekend adventure. Or...
Right. Maybe somebody bought a bike during COVID and they just now collecting dust in their garage. Like, hey, what do I do with this bike? Well, I like to bike. Yeah, me too. Let's plan a route and go check out the sights and sounds and maybe some of the farms in our area.
Exactly. So we want to encourage you to grab your bike and start planning some bike tours, even if it is just for a 15-mile ride to the next town over, or from Pittsburgh to DC.
Because you never know, with just a little bit of planning, a little bit of training, what can turn just a simple bike ride into an adventure.
Exactly. So we will see you on the trail.
Take care.